Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I have a very exciting one for you guys, and that is because it's my first hands-on time with the all-new 2024 Chevy Traverse here in the Z71 trim level. As you guys know, about 2.5 months or so, I was up at the 2024 Chicago Auto Show where I got to see the RS in a pre-production spec, and I have to say most of that made it here into the full production models ready for consumers out there. However, this is actually my first time seeing the Z71 trim level in person, and I have to say it has met and exceeded my expectations. Now this one in particular is actually very close to how I would spec a Z71 with the iridescent pearl, all the additional option packages, the driver assistance, super cruise, panoramic sunroof, etc. This one is pretty much fully loaded, but that does mean it tops the $55,000 price point, which is, a hefty price tag considering, again, this is not a fully loaded RS, which comes with additional features and options that you really can't get on some of the lower trim levels, including the Z71. So if you guys are interested in more information of this all-new Chevy Traverse, make sure to check out some of the other videos I have here on the channel where I do side-by-side trim comparisons, go over that pricing information and stuff like that. Most of that information is correct from at the time I filmed it several months ago, but I think there are a few small tweaks here for the final production spec ready for consumers. But without further ado, let's not waste more time. Take a look at what this Z71 Traverse has to offer for just at $55,000. So once again, the Traverse in front of me is finished in the iridescent pearl exterior with the Z71 specific black and red two-tone evotex leatherette on the inside. This is a very nice color combination, and here in the sunlight, the iridescent pearl has a lot of metallic flake and does pop quite a bit over that of the standard Summit White, which is also available, but that's going to be more of a work truck traditional white color, where the iridescent pearl definitely has a more premium vibe to it. Now at the front end of the Z71, you will find several unique aesthetic and mechanical enhancements over the traditional Traverse, which we'll get to here in a second. Now every Traverse will come standard with LED projector headlights, daytime running lights, and turn signals in that upper housing right there. And of course the LED projectors are a little bit farther down on the front fascia. Unfortunately, there are no LED fog lights no matter which trim level you do choose, so that is a little bit unfortunate, but that is why the projector headlights are mounted a little bit lower for additional visibility. Some nice darkened chrome accents here around the projector headlights and the front grille that wraps across the entire width. Gloss black grille with Z71 badging that does flow into the lower front fascia, which is unique to the Z71, including those bright red recovery hooks, which actually are mounted to the frame or the unibody itself. So those are functional hooks that you can use in an off-road situation. Front, rear, and side parking sensors. There's your radar for the adaptive cruise control as well as super cruise functionality. And down below, finally, you can see the additional skid plates for, again, that additional protection on the underside of the vehicle in those off-road environments where you may end up damaging something. Of course, GM doesn't want you doing that, so that's why they added the additional protection. And it does, of course, have the 360 surround view camera system with the black bow ties. Now coming around the side of the Traverse Z71, this trim level as well as the lower LTs will come with the textured black cladding around the wheel arches and of course the lower door section themselves. If you do get the top RS, this will change it to a nicer premium gloss black plastic, which to me looks a little bit nicer, but I totally understand why they went with the textured traditional plastic on this particular one, because it holds up and is traditionally a little bit more durable. Now coming to the wheel and tire setup, this is going to be once again unique to the Z71, so it's going to be an 18-inch gloss black and machined alloy wheel with a Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT all-terrain tire, 265/65 18-inch, which actually is the exact same size as the Colorado Z71, so about a 32-inch all-terrain tire, which is very beefy for a vehicle in the mid-size 3-row segment like this one. And I believe the Traverse Z71 also does get a small suspension lift to go with the larger wheel and tire setup. You do get gloss black mirror caps with LED turn signal integration. This one once again has the 360 surround view camera system. Unfortunately, no LED puddle lights, but there is going to be the gloss black Traverse badging on the 2 front door panels. The mirrors are going to be heated, of course, blind spot detection, and it does not appear to be that this one is auto dimming, nor is the passenger side, but luckily the interior one is going to be the digital and auto dimming combination type. Proximity entry on all 4 door handles. And coming here to the side profile, you can see the nice roof rails up top that match some of the other gloss black accents, and then the traditional black plastic around the lower portions of the vehicle. Now, one thing I do want to point out is this one is optioned with the panoramic power sunroof, so that's what it looks like here on the exterior of the vehicle. And finally, coming out back, this is one of my favorite angles to look at the Traverse here in the flesh, is how GM decided to integrate the LED tail lamps as well as the gloss black accents around the license plate. So like I mentioned, you have LED lighting for your tail lamps, turn signals up top, and I believe your reverse lights are located a little bit lower here on the rear bumper. There's your rear parking sensors. You have the quad tip chrome outlet exhaust with the nice medium silver trims. There's the Traverse all-wheel drive badging. Every Z71 is going to be automatically all-wheel drive, and there is that gloss black trim I mentioned around the license plate. With your cameras, it does have a washer nozzle, black bow tie, and Z71 badging here on the passenger side. So as a whole, I think the rear end is going to be my favorite angle of the Traverse, but I think the exterior appearance, especially here in the beefier Z71, looks fantastic. And one thing I don't want to forget to mention is the digital camera mirror, again with an integrated washer nozzle for the optional equipment that this particular Traverse is equipped with. So yeah, that's a look at the exterior of this one. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you like this color combination, and would you order one? But let's go ahead and take a look at the window sticker so you guys know exactly all the features and options on this one, and then dive onto the inside. So take a look at the window sticker. Once again, this one has pretty much all of the main optional equipment, including that extra cost paint color that you can get with the Z71. So the MSRP is over $7,000 more than a standard base Z71, which starts right around $47,500. Now, with some of the optional equipment on this one, you do get the enhanced driving package for $37.55, includes Super Cruise, driver attention assist, the Bose premium audio system, as well as the digital camera mirror. It has the dual power sunroof for $1,500, as well as the $1,000 evotex torch red accented interior, in addition to that $995 for the iridescent pearl, which brings the total MSRP, including destination, to $55,045. So take a look on the interior. Like I mentioned, this one does have the optional evotex black leatherette on the inside versus the standard interior, but still the Z71 comes with many red and black accents no matter which interior option you do choose. Starting out here on the door panel, you'll find a nice amount of soft touch materials, including this textured portion up here, and of course the nice evotex wrapped armrest with the red accent stitching. You do have the red accent that transitions and fades into a very dark red at the start of the dashboard, which I did see at the Chicago Auto Show on the RS1 in specific. Lock and unlock buttons. There's your satin chrome door handle pull. You do have power windows, mirrors, and locks. It looks like the only window that's fully automatic is the driver's side, as the rest of them are going to be automatic down only, which is a little bit unfortunate. And of course, no power folding mirrors on Z71. A little bit of additional bright chrome work, and then there is your power trunk release down on the lower door panel that GM has been doing for several years now. And there is the Bose premium audio system with your Bose badging and that nice accented grille. Coming to the door sill plate, you do have a nice stainless steel Chevrolet door sill. There's the power driver seat with four-way power lumbar, which is a nice addition. And of course, there's the evotex black leatherette with the two-tone accent stitching. You have a little bit of red on the outside and a lighter accent stitch on the inside, perforated of course, and Z71 embroidered into the headrest, just to signify that this one is the Z71 trim level in specific. So here in the interior of the Traverse, you're going to see a lot of familiar elements to some of the other recent or updated GM products in the lineup. And this is totally different from the outgoing 2024 Limited or earlier generation Traverse. So starting in front of the driver, you're going to find a standard 11-inch fully digital cluster that is controlled here on the right side of the steering wheel. This does have several different configurations and pages you can go through. Make sure to stay tuned here on the channel or check out some of my other videos where I do go through this in a little bit more detail. But anyways, you have your mileage or range left here on the left side, ambient exterior temperature, time and date. There's your tachometer in the middle with your digital speed readout, audio on the right side, and of course your gear shift down in the bottom right hand corner. Now cycling through some of the functions, you can put your integrated Google Maps up here. There you can see a full high resolution display versus using the traditional infotainment over here. I really do like this about some newer GM products, how you can integrate this, and of course it moves your digital speed readout and some of your other necessary information down to the left side. And then cycling through it one more time, there's your adaptive cruise control or super cruise functionality. And then finally you have a really basic clean layout that you can choose from with your digital speed readout. and some of the other necessary information at the bottom. And then finally, that is where we started. Now you can customize this a little bit further via the infotainment. So like I said, make sure to stay tuned here on the channel for a little bit more information on that. Now, one of the items you can see peeking up right here on the middle of the steering wheel is going to be the eye attention, or the driver assist sensor, that essentially monitors your eyes and your face to make sure you are paying attention while using Super Cruise. Now, coming back to the steering wheel, this is going to be the Super Cruise enabled steering wheel, which has your LED indicator here at the top, which essentially alerts you as to whether or not it is functioning if it is green. Now, the steering wheel is actually very thick and very beefy, much larger than I was actually expecting, but I think that has somewhat to do with the hardware necessary for Super Cruise and also the overall design that GM has chosen to go with. Now you can see you have your black bow tie in the middle, some nice Z71 and bright chrome trim around the 3 spokes. On the left side, you have your Super Cruise and regular cruise control functionality, as well as your distance and everything like that. On the right side, you have some of your audio, multimedia, voice commands, and your heated steering wheel functionality. Of course, the steering wheel is going to be heated. And then you do have paddle shifters for the 8-speed automatic transmission on the backside, as well as little rockers for the volume and tune on the infotainment system. Now, this vehicle unfortunately does not have automatic rain sensing wipers, but I believe that is going to be found on the top RS model. And then there is your newly relocated gear shift transmission selector. So this is where you'll basically select your drive, reverse, neutral, and park functionality all via the stock, which frees up additional space here in the center console or dashboard area. Now, to the left of the steering wheel, you have your electronic parking brake. Here is your mode, all-wheel drive select. So this will basically force it into all-wheel drive all the time, versus two-wheel drive, which is currently located in via that indicator right there. And of course, that will also change with some of the drive modes. There's your engine stop start on off, as well as your gauge illumination dimming. Now, cycling through some of the drive modes, you can see we do have a dedicated tow haul mode. There is an all-wheel drive off-road drive mode. Looks like we do have another version of an off-road drive mode. And then finally, cycling back, it looks like we do have some other modes there as well. Now, bear with me, I'm still kind of learning what modes are available, but I would assume there's something like 2 off-road modes, a sport drive mode, and a trailering tow haul mode, but I'm sure we'll see a little bit more of that in the future. Now, coming over here to the infotainment system, this is the nice, large, integrated, I believe 11.3-inch infotainment system if measured diagonally. Once again, all new to the Traverse, but found in some of the other recent GM products. Power button is located up there. You can see it does prompt you to stay in demo mode, and there is the entirely new UI, very similar to that some of the other recent vehicles such as Blazer EV, Trailblazer, Trax, etc. Of course, this does have Google integration built in. There's your automatic parking assist functionality, Wi-Fi hotspot, cameras, some of your vehicle statuses, controls for pretty much everything is located here on the infotainment system. Now you can see over here to the left side, we have a few buttons. This is all of your traction control, automatic high beam, window lockout, camera, dome light, etc. are found on the infotainment screen. There's your headlights are found here, so you can go between off, auto, running lights, as well as headlights enabled on. And there is the lane keeping assist. It looks like a shortcut button that is always going to be located here, which is a very nice, easy way to turn off the regular lane keeping assist system. Now, of course, this vehicle does have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Sirius XM, AM, FM, USB, Bluetooth inputs as well. And you can see there is Amazon Alexa integration, as well as the Google functionalities, which provide a ton of overall functionality for this UI. So make sure you guys stay tuned here on the channel. Hopefully I will have a little bit of additional content coming out here shortly of this. But as you can see, there is the nice large UI for Google Maps. Up front, you'll find dual zone automatic climate control. Of course, there is going to be another zone out back. Heated front seats only on this particular one, but of course you do have all of your other climate controls here at the bottom, and you can access them via the climate settings right there, which allows you for front and rear control of the system. You can see that nice dark red trim matches here the door panels, and there on the dashboard. AC vents are mounted actually very low here inside of the dashboard next to the push button start button. There's the manual physical controls for the climate, which is fantastic to see that they have retained a lot of the physical functionality for buttons and knobs for the stuff that you might use on a day-to-day basis, including the volume knob up here, which I did forget to mention. There you have the wireless charging pad in this nice large cubby at a pretty steep angle. USB-A and USB-C input, as well as a nice 12-volt outlet for additional power. There's the proximity key fob that we've seen for several years on GM products with remote start, as well as your power liftgate. Nice 2 large cup holders, a lot of gloss black plastic, which of course I'm not a huge fan of. I think this will scratch quite easily, but I'm sure the aftermarket might come up with a solution for that. And there's a nice closable storage cubby, which is actually a reasonable size. I'm sure you can actually put a smartphone or other larger items in there and close them out and keep them out of sight. Nice soft touch materials here on the sides, and then down below you do have a nice large storage cubby, very similar to that of some of the other recent vehicles that I featured here on the channel for bags or smaller purses, anything like that. Nice soft touch padded armrest is actually very comfortable to use, and inside you'll find a dual level storage bin. As you can see, a nice usable size little LED light in there, and a little nice top tray to keep smaller items or items that you frequently access. Up top, you'll find a black headliner with black accented ABC pillar trim. There's your LED vanity illumination. This one does have the digital rear camera mirror, as well as the auto dimming traditional mirror, depending on which one you want to use. And there is the adjustments for the digital functionality here on the right side. Unfortunately, you'll not find any garage home link in this particular vehicle. OnStar passenger airbag SOS buttons. There's your power panoramic sunroof controls, LED lighting, as well as a nice sunglasses storage holder. So that is great to see. That's actually a feature that is going away from most recent vehicles. Looks like GM has chose to keep that. And of course, you do have the power shade for the panoramic sunroof, which I'm not gonna lie is a little bit on the slower side of things, but nice to have either way. And there you can go ahead and pop the panoramic sunroof open, see how far it opens. I know a lot of people out there do like to see that. And actually, it is one of the larger by far. That actually is a huge opening for a vehicle in this segment. Of course, if you do push the button twice, it will open another inch or two. But that is fantastic to see. That goes well behind the first row occupants, as you can see right there, and is a quite large opening. So yeah, as a whole, I really do like the panoramic sunroof option in the Traverse. But let's go ahead and take a look out back. So take a look at the second row of the Chevy Traverse. It looks like most of the materials will fall through from the front seat. So here in the door panel, you get all of the same soft touch materials, which I really do appreciate GM doing, including even some of the nice bright chrome work. There's your power controls for the window, as well as the Bose premium audio system, and a good amount of lower door storage. There's a look at the 7-passenger configuration of this one. Is the only configuration available. If you're looking for a bench seat or 8-passenger, you will have to stick to an LT with the optional 8-passenger seating package. There's the recline functionality for the second row, as well as the lever to gain access to the third row, which of course we'll sit in and test the overall size out. So stepping inside, step in height is actually very, very easy. There's a look at the front dashboard. In terms of rear seat amenities, we do have 2 cup holders behind the console. There's your third zone automatic climate control, 2 USB-C charging ports, as well as a nice 120 volt outlet with a little bit of additional storage. Matte pockets on both of the front seats. There's the overhead LED lighting with your AC vents for the second row passengers. And of course, there is going to be third row vents as well. Now looking at the seats, they are, upon first impressions, very soft and very comfortable, have a nice amount of give to them, and each one will feature the nice padded armrests as well. Unfortunately, they are not adjustable in any fashion. And then you do have a good amount of room between these second row captain chairs for people to pass through into the third row if you choose to use it like that, instead of accessing the third row via those levers on the seat. So let's go ahead and put the second row seat forward so we can gain access to the third row. Then pulling the seat back, it does stop, it looks like, where it was last put, and where the seat is actually located right now, which is a very comfortable position for pretty much anybody in the second row. My knees are going to be barely brushing the carpet on the backside, which is okay. There is actually a good amount of footroom down below. My feet are actually not touching the top of the seat, so I really applaud GM for that. That is actually very, very comfortable. Looks like we have cup holders and storage, USB-C charging. No padding or anything for the third row, but we do have the AC vents, LED lighting up top, and the seats are going to be, of course, finished in the exact same as the second and first rows. Now, in terms of my overall impressions upon just getting out of the Toyota Grand Highlander last week, I actually think the third row in this vehicle is not quite there in terms of comfort, but not far off of that vehicle. I actually think it's actually set at a very reasonable seat in terms of the height. I think this is actually a very decent space for somebody that is a little bit on the taller side or a full-size adult to use the third row in a pinch on maybe shorter trips or something like that. So I actually say this is a very comfortable third row for somebody, you know, my height, 5'9" or so, to use for a, you know, maybe an hour or two, something like that on a road trip. And the only thing that I can tell that is going to be worse in terms of the Grand Highlander is the fact that the visibility is not nearly as good, given the third row windows are a little bit on the smaller side. Now take a look at the cargo area with the third row seats up. Of course, this vehicle does have the power liftgate, and I think it is going to be a hands-free type as well. You can see this is one of the improvements for this next generation Traverse is the cargo area. And I have to say, this is quite impressive, the amount of room you have back here. You can see the speakers for that Bose audio system, some tie-down points for cargo nets or cargo hooks. There is going to be a 12-volt outlet here on the passenger side. And then beneath the floor, you do have a very nice size underfloor storage, which is something that the last generation Traverse had as well. And if you do want access to the temporary spare tire, that is going to be located underneath this storage bin, and you do remove some of those nuts and pull the entire storage bin out for access to roadside tools and that temporary spare tire. Now, unfortunately, to fold the seats down, you don't get the power adjustments here on the Z71 that will be found on the RS, however. So to fold the seats down, it's pretty much fold and push just like most other vehicles out there. As long as these second row seats are forward just like that, it will fold down into a completely flat floor with tons of additional cargo capacity. So actually that is quite impressive and a huge improvement over the last generation Traverse. I actually think people will appreciate that quite a bit and surely brings it much more competitive with some of the more recent entrants into this segment like that Toyota Grand Highlander. Now finally, wrapping up here on the passenger front seat, of course materials will be the same. Unfortunately, we do get a four-way manual seat, It does not have any sort of height adjustment, so it just has the slide as well as the recline levers, no lumbar or height adjustment. And then there is a better look at the dashboard with some of that nice lighter accent stitching and the gloss black trim. There's a huge glove box that is going to be damp, so that is a nice benefit there. Unfortunately, it does not appear that you have any sort of LED illumination, but is a very usable size indeed. So with all that information in mind, let's go ahead and pop the hood, see what powers this particular vehicle, and then go ahead and wrap up this video. So under the hood of this all new next generation Traverse, you're gonna find the first application for GM's new 2.5 liter turbocharged four-cylinder, which puts out 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque, of course, to the front wheels or all four wheels if you do select all-wheel drive. Now this is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and I believe this engine is derived from the 2.7 liter turbo that has been found in the full-size and mid-size trucks for several years now. And I believe it's just a slightly lower displacement version of that engine. However, I'm sure there are people that know a little bit more about it that will let me know down in the comment section below. But overall, this is a huge improvement in terms of horsepower and torque from the outgoing 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6 found in the last generation, with about a 16 or 18 horsepower bump in terms of horsepower, but significantly more torque, greater than 50 pound-feet of torque versus the 3.6 V6 from prior generations. So I can't wait to drive this next generation Traverse, but unfortunately this one is sold and I cannot drive it off of the lot. But overall, it should be a good improvement in terms of acceleration and performance. So that's going to do it here for my first video of the all-new 2024 Chevy Traverse here in the Z71 trim level. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and or found something helpful. If you did, make sure to hit that like button below. It greatly helps out the channel in these videos. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to stay tuned for additional coverage and videos here on this Z71, as well as additional trim levels as they hit dealership lots over the coming weeks and coming months. Now let me know what you guys think of this Z71 down in the comment section below. Overall, it is a pretty hefty price tag, but I think it is going to be a huge upgrade versus the outgoing generation. And as a whole, when you compare the pricing versus the outgoing last generation, the trim levels are kind of revised in what is offered. For example, there's no more high country trim level at this moment, but the RS pretty much takes the spot of that one. The Z71 kind of sits somewhere between the outgoing Premier and RS in some regards. And everything like that. But in terms of pricing, there's not a hefty price increase. There is just a slight price increase depending on what options and features you get. And of course, that newly available Super Cruise is a nice addition that is not available on every model from GM quite yet, but is now newly available here in this Traverse. So like I said, make sure to stay tuned for additional coverages here on the Traverse. I do have a Traverse versus Palisade video coming here shortly after this one, which make sure you guys stay tuned for that. That is a very interesting video to see pretty much what you get in a Traverse and or a Palisade for the mid $50,000 price point. I'm sure that is going to be one of those first comparisons of those two vehicles here on YouTube. But yeah, overall, I can't wait to drive this vehicle, get a lot more hands-on time with it. And I think overall, positive first impressions nonetheless. And this has to be one of the most capable midsize 3-row vehicles that is going to enter the market here right now versus some of the other competition. So yeah, really can't wait to drive this vehicle, get a little bit more time with it, and give you my real impressions of it. But overall, I have to say, pretty positive first thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Have you been able to get hands-on with one or see one yet? Do you have one on order? And if so, which spec or trim level did you get? Interested to hear that, and what options and features people are choosing. But I'm sure a lot of the more fully loaded ones are going to hit dealership lots first. But anyways, appreciate the support here on the channel, and as always, hope to see you guys in the next one.